Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. This is just a couple of the World Arena fights that I had during the preseason for Ambition season upcoming. But whenever you're watching this, yeah, it's just preseason stuff, so I'm in gold, win rate pretty bad. I've been trying some new things in terms of like wanting to do some speed cleaving. It is definitely a goal of mine this season. Hopefully I will land some speed DPS gear because those are pretty rare. So if you're a player that has those, then dang, you're in a lucky few. Okay, not a lot of people have that. So anyways, the first fight, we're just gonna go through a couple fights. I want to commentate on these ones because again, it's where I am right now, my mentality. Maybe there are things that players can learn from it, but otherwise you can teach me. Politis is pretty strong, and Cerise first pick is not like super strong. The problem with Cerise first pick is that unless you're like the rest of your follow-up DPS are really fast, it's usually a setup for CDOM. So you're kind of like forced to have to pair Cerise with CDOM, otherwise it almost becomes not usable. Unless the opponents you're fighting don't have immunity. Operator Cigarette is one of my favorites, at least this preseason. Been doing most of my fights this preseason has all been this type of opening, so Operator Cigarette, Politis, Cerise. Depends who gets pre-banned, but Pavel recently built, not really good. I won't reveal the stats here, but if I do end up using him in the upcoming Ambition season, then you guys will definitely see the build when I do my, how do you say it, seasonal if you could call it that, seasonal like account showcase. Otherwise, in one of the fights later on, I will be showcasing one of the bruisers that I already built. Spectani, same build as before. So if you haven't seen those videos, I definitely have. Again, seasonal, I usually like to theme it past the PvP season. I showcase my entire account with my PvP heroes. This one, CDOM could have been okay too, but I felt like the Spectani is just a bit safer. Just in case I couldn't kill the what do you call it? The bulk. Like I said, I think the self-critique is the issue with Pavel not with CDOM, Cerise not with CDOM. So it's a very interesting one, and I went to ban the Violet just in case he did ban the Spectani. Basically, the Violet would have been the problem here, so in retrospect, CDOM would have been better, because you could finish off the maid right here without having to worry, but Spectani also pretty safe, assuming that I would have killed the Landy. It was a counter Landy, I saw by the speed, so I wasn't thinking it would be a big problem, especially if I could restrict. I did, so I got lucky. Pablo S2 does not trigger counters, so I was thinking that was pretty safe. But I wasn't suspecting exactly a counter Landy, although that is probably pretty popular. Counter Landy, lifesteal Landy. Regardless what it was, I mean, the speed cleave comps are just, you know, output as much damage as possible and try not to, at least for me, at least right now, try not to revert into some kind of bulk, because like again, if I go with Politis and Cerise and then I start, you know, drafting bulk, then I start losing out on damage. So it's basically like headlong, all damage in kind of thing. He did do this properly. He probably knew that Opsig has no debuff, so there's a blind debuff on Pavel, so Caesarado conceptually could have soloed. I think that's what he was hoping for here. Luckily I didn't kill him or the Crow, and honestly, because Champions Row didn't even have a defense buff, it was much easier to kill them. Attack buff on the Spectani, and again, Pavel does not trigger counterattack on the S2. But this is silver player, although right now in preseason I have to say that, you know, I face bronze players just as strong as I think champ players, but playing speed cleave is always a risk. It will always be a risk to play speed cleave. It's just that it's more satisfying when you can pull it off. So that's what I've been doing, at least for the entire preseason so far. This is probably my, I would say, the longest I played World Arena like in a row. Usually I do like, you know, 2 to 3 fights at a time on a break or something. So I've been pre-banning RB just because the way I'm drafting Cleave. If I don't first pick RB, they get RB, then my Cleave is pretty much dead. Like, I have to force ban him, so I pre-ban him. FCC on the other hand is not as big of a deal. You have LQC, you have Strays, you have OpSig, you have CDOM. Like, you have a lot of like options. I think FCC, if built properly, I think can still out tank. I have lost to out tankers, I've lost to speed contesters, I've lost to like reverse cleavers. But again, that is the like I'm trying to learn as I'm doing this. So he took the Cerise, I would have liked it, but I got to take the Politis there because again, trying to make him not be able to use CDOM. So that's why the Politis is pretty important. But at this moment, like I have like I think like 5-6 heroes on book, so I wasn't too panicked. Politis is on book, of course. Otherwise, Pavel is kind of dead weight.
I won't lose to anyone.
So he picked Oxlots here, which is kind of interesting. I don't think that he should have picked it there. He could have picked it much later, or decided not to take him at all. But with Politis Celine, it just made an open, like, open for me here. Although I have to say that I'm not gonna spoil, but I have to say that the player I'm fighting could have won, but he made a false. He made a bad play. So I guess others are spoiling, but. So here I'm already considering like what he could do. He'll probably have like T-Siren or K-Ron, which would be pretty dangerous for me. I think T-Siren K-Ron double draft here would probably have killed what I had in mind. But I went with the CDOM anyway, really just to steal it in case I couldn't ban the Cerise or whatnot. So the top model Luca is a surprising one for me because no matter what, he locked himself. So I think he would have won in terms of the draft if he just went K-Ron and T-Siren. Since if he banned Politis, my Celine would never be able to kill them, and K-Ron would have survived and just wiped my entire team at this point. Even if I went with a Reviver, it was still risky. So I mean, I guess I could have used like a Maid Chloe, but it would have been a force ban. He would have won. So because he picked the T-Siren, SSB, my SSB is on lifesteal, and just being able to trigger, just damage over time while he's having turns is pretty beneficial for my SSB, of course. I decided to go with the T-Siren ban because again, he had to either take out Politis or Celine, but in case he took out Politis, the Celine was the right choice, or T-Siren would be the right choice since he could have put the attack buff onto T-Siren, and Celine would have not been able to kill. So that's why I had to ban T-Siren. But yeah, I had Politis and Celine, so Oxalots and ML Luluka wouldn't have really done much. So in this portion, I think he saw like a worry. If my Pavel had did the S2, he knew that he would have lost his top model Luluka. So because my Pavel's not on immunity, he had to do this. But what this did was, it did silence, it landed. I think it's 75%. What this did was open up my damage to the SSB. So he obviously he was trying to play very careful here and not trigger my Celine too early, because whoever he put it on, Celine would have probably killed. So if he put it onto Cerise, Cerise would have been dead with the attack buff, so my Pavel would have got the turn. So he thought that this was the safer move, which I think everything he did so far is proper. So here's the upcoming spoiler. Of course, it lands all restrict. My Pavel isn't that powerful. Mainly S1's not even molded, but otherwise that top model would have died in one shot. It's mainly because like my thinking is that one, my Pavel gear is not good enough. So sinking all the mola into him is just not worth it. So that's the misplay that he did. He shouldn't have S3. If he killed, his villager would have CR boosted and he would have won. So he would just wipe me. Yeah, at least I'm pretty sure, yeah, because even if SSB had a turn, like she survived the double cleave, for example. The Cerise would have dual attacked and I would have lost. So he made a false play here. I think right here I'm just typing to the Iggy chat or the guild chat, because they were like, you lost, but they were like, what? He didn't have to do that. He really didn't. Yeah, but anyways, the Pavel thing on the S1, I didn't invest in it yet. Again, like I said, I didn't have really good gear. Like my promise to myself is that once I get really good gear on him, or gear I'm satisfied with, I'll definitely max Mola him. But until then, his S1 will go untouched. In that fight, it would have helped, but I got lucky. There's one thing about the speed cleave as well, the mentality going into it, at least for me personally as a player, is that when I'm doing speed cleave, it's not an excuse to int. Like, I'm not doing this just to lose, but it's like when I do lose, it's, I don't know, it feels like much more forgivable, or maybe it's just because I don't feel like I spent like, you know, 10 minutes in the fight, like a carrot versus a healer versus like tanks. It feels like I didn't spend 10 minutes of my life doing it. Most of these fights, most of them, the draft is longer than the fight itself, so it's kind of more YOLO, and I really admire speed cleavers that way. I fought many Asia players as I'm playing around here, and you know they see my cleave and then they just cleave me back with like faster heroes and stuff, and it's very admirable. It's something that I want to be able to do. For those who watch my like YouTube videos and just know me for a long time, season 2 of World Arena, I tried to cleave more, so like Athletica, Oxlots. That was before Politis. There's only one option. It was like Celine, and I guess Soul Bad Guy to counter like the Oxlots type of, you know, non-attack skill type of cleave. So I did cleave in World Arena season 2, although I only hit champ, and I think that and I called it there. Did I hit champ? Maybe I didn't hit champ on that one. I don't remember anymore, but either way, season 2 I was like, you know, kind of dedicated to play cleave, and then season 3 is the one I gave up. I didn't get to champ on season 3. Yeah, so regardless, this season I just wanted to do something, at least preseason I wanted to do something different. This one was a pretty tough call for me. There was a lot of things that were going through my head. It's like that Pavel is like really fast, because if the Pavel, you know, if he banned my Cerise and the Pavel was fast, he would have like wiped everyone. So it was like a bit of a gamble here. But I had to make sure to reduce as much damage as possible, so I had to remove the potential book holder for Pavel. So this is where my struggle was. It's either take out the speed contest but it was really hard to take out Carrot. He did leave C-Dom. I didn't know if I had that option, but it would have been pretty tough to kill Carrot with just top model Luluka and what I had if he didn't ban if he had banned C-Dom. So I was a bit faster here, so again, like, if he banned C-Dom, I think I would have been in a worse scenario. So since Cerise usually would be faster than Pavel, usually, and I'm just saying that very lightly because I know that there are a lot of people running very fast Pavels, so like, I wouldn't have gotten this boost, I wouldn't have gotten this turn at all if he had banned the C-Dom. So I think he banning the Opsig was probably not the best option here, but I don't blame him. Generally, people will see like, oh, I have FCC, he has Opsig, so you know, just in case I gotta take it out. Maybe, I don't know. Although Cerise and Opsig versus FCC is not really compatible, because if you land a restrict, you're not gonna push back. Opsig's new buff has that. Ignore resist pushback on a barrier. This was lucky. I wasn't banking on that. I was just hoping that the RNG would work in my favor. So I think I misplayed that from the get-go. I wasn't sure like what was the proper way there. Either way, I had to kill the Pavel because he would have gotten a turn. So there was no way I could have finished off SSB, like top model Luluka, C-Dom together could, but then I would have lost to Pavel, so it was kind of a risky one. I won on RNG in my opinion. I'll be very honest, I didn't win because this was big brain. Fire into ice, especially SSB with mitigation, is not the best thing for sure. And I had no attack buff on Politis too, so it was literally the top model, the exact dual attack that helped me win. So if I was that player, I'd be very salty about that one, because that's just like very, very bad RNG.
I will not just stand by and watch. Assist me.
I'm on my way. I will show you the power of Nixseed, the strongest. Nixseed!
Yeah, so this one's pretty much over.
Victory belongs to
I said
everybody.
look at me. Do not interfere.
At this point, I'm feeling pretty good. But again, knowing like I have a lot of limitations based on gear, but it's really fun. Still really fun. So again, the pre-ban RB. You pre-ban Spec Henny, which is one of my kind of my favorites if I needed to hide from people who overbulk. Again, the first pick series is still very flawed. It's usually paired with CDOM, that's really helpful, or the another opener that is just as fast but deals damage. So Violet first pick is pretty solid into Cerise. You have pretty much guaranteed counter if Cerise goes into him. The FCC chosen there. I had to pick up Politis because I was gonna pick CDOM. But the FCC chosen there is perfect for OpSig, even though this is kind of my normal pattern. So Politis is very, very strong into like so-called counter cleave heroes. So counter cleave and into cleave heroes. Like she's just overall really good. T-Siren would be one that I think Politis kind of soft counters. I want to say hard counter. Most people don't even know the weakness of T-Siren into a Politis. But considering like reducing CR, Politis can soul burn, force T-Siren into stealth, and then S3 to unbuffable and blind. Like all that is really, really good. So at this point, I was already determined to ban the Violet over his last pick. T-Siren for this setup wasn't too hard. It was just a matter of like gear diff. Like does he have way more bulk than I can, you know, take down? Or do I have enough DPS gear for it? Elena again, also weak against Politis. So Politis is very, very solid into like General Purgus, Elena, T-Siren, Sage Ball, and Cezanne. Like a lot of so-called counter cleave heroes. She's really, really good into those. Now he banned the CDOM. I think this is proper because again, it makes Cerise sort of weak here. Cerise really needs that CDOM to really shine. So realistically, I kind of gave myself up in terms of one consistent damage dealer or a threat, and I think he saw that, no problem.
I didn't want to have to do this, but it seems I have no choice.
So the good thing is, of course, this can force Elena to do the S2, and Politis can go off here. I did get lucky on the cut. That Elena was obviously on Magar's tome because it still cut quite a bit. It was still 25, I think, 25%. But the Politis was just fast enough. So if the Elena had faster speed, perhaps she would have got the cut.
Humans are truly foolish.
Because since Politis does their own 30% CR boost. So I basically won the Elena by my sheer speed, pretty much. So it was probably a counter Elena, although I don't recall it proccing.
Shine forever in the light of the stars.
He had to do it, but you can see that the interaction, I got really lucky first. I did debuff the T-Serum. So the T-Serum in invincibility was the ultimate lose condition for me here. My crit rate scuffed, don't ask. It's close to 100%, but I didn't crit the T-Serum. It didn't really matter here since you know, I didn't really have to wait for the lowest health would have been FCC, so the berry would have been applied to herself here, so it wouldn't have made a difference if I saved the S2. I basically just wanted more damage.
Beginning extermination.
The guiding light on the Opsig is very, very important. Very, very necessary in my opinion, especially in World Arena. I do use Opsig in Arena, like regular Arena,
You feel the pain?
and I use Portrait in that sense. So sometimes I don't open with an attack buffer, I just go with Opsig straight up, and I still need to guarantee a kill versus some FCC teams. So I use Portrait in Arena, and World Arena I use Guiding Light. Cerise is on Sasha Ethans, it's not on Confile. I had recently did a account review with Platypi. If you haven't watched that video or you don't know who he is, then check out that video, and you most likely, if you're watching this, you probably know who he is. But I was talking to him about that too, and he's saying that Sasha Ethans is probably the best for Cerise Cleaving. I definitely have to say I see the difference, because if you're using Confile, you have like a 60% chance to defense break, and which may not guarantee. But with Sasha, you have a lot of, assuming you can kill, you have a lot of turns. So just falling off a little damage. Again, I said my Pablo is not that good. The speed is not super good. The damage is not super good. It's kind of like an in-between. He's got like, I think like 4 purple gear. So for people who calculate gear score, you know how much limitation I was facing. Especially it's not even max rules. So that was that fight. He lost most of his damage. I am glad he quit that early, I guess. Like, I mean, his crowd wouldn't sustain too long. Get 1 kill, but I guess he would have killed like Pavel or Opsig. This one I'm keeping in the video because this guy is an example of him reverse cleaving, which I said like it was one of my difficulties when I was just playing around, and especially Asia players, they love their speed, they love to cleave. They saw me like, you know, draft Cerise, and they had like faster openers than me. So this guy picked Cerise first, so like we both banned RB. So I think that we both knew we were probably going to cleave. So I was just deciding here, I'm like, okay, well, you know, it's not the first time Cerise had either been stolen or been pre-banned. So I went with Politis first. Again, this will open up the option for me to have CDOM, or at least more likely. But RTA built CDOMs now are ones running with 100% crit rate, so they don't necessarily need to proc a Politis or a Celine. So it's still dangerous for him to have CDOM here, assuming he has 2 like very, very crazy threats. He went with Flan. I don't own Flan myself, but Flan is pretty good. Flan would technically be the same as Oxlots, except that she has faster base speed. And now he can pick the CDOM. So like the only option I have here is to go with the Celine. At least that's my original intent.
Is it my turn?
And then now he's going for full speed contest.
I'll do everything I can.
And I realized that I don't have many books left. There's a couple things I was thinking as I was looking at his draft here. Taking out one of his speed imprints probably wouldn't have been like that big of a deal, but Cerise would have been the biggest problem in terms of for him to get his damage off. If he went with Cerise, he would just skip the Politis and Celine, so his CDOM gets in. So out of these ones, I decided that I was gonna pick Spectenny there. You can see it's highlighted, but I think I ran out of time, so it was kind of a misplay. I think the Spectenny would have been the force ban here for him, otherwise he would have lost. But anyways, unfortunately I didn't pick Spectenny in time. I saw it too late. So the ML Luluka is absolutely not meant to be. She's not like fast enough to speed contest what he's got. And yeah, so it was either Politis or Celine there. I guess he knew that he would have gone with Politis, oh sorry, Celine, because Politis at least has an opportunity not to kill everyone. The no immunity on the ML Luluka there, although she is slower than the Sid, is definitely a drawback. But
You haven't seen anything.
anyways, like I said, I think Spectenny last pick there would have been better. He would have been set into a worse scenario because he would have kept Politis and Celine both. So he wouldn't get the turn.
Think this is a good idea?
Or he wouldn't be able to push up the damage dealer. Like one of them is gonna die. So unfortunately, because yeah, like I said, I think if I had the Spectenny, it would have been an easy game. He had no choice here but to risk the 50-50, since Politis had to turn after Sid. But he got it. So he actually got quite lucky, I have to say, overall. But I misdrafted. So the guiding light is still very, very good here. So you can imagine the Spectenny with the guiding light. You have he's forced to single target. I think in his case, if he drafted something like Fire Shuri with damage, I would have had more problems. Like conceptually speaking. So here, I did not notice the Sid had evasion buff, but that is the new Sid after the buff. It is pretty good. It is literally what saves him here, unfortunately. But it is what it is. It was a good fight.
Executing commands.
I kept that there because I mean, like, that's one aspect of Cleave that you can admire. It's like, you know, you're playing on the same like field here, and then there's a bit of RNG, there's a bit of risk, but it's actually really fun. So again, Politis' versatility is very, very strong. I think if anything, this showcase is showcasing how good Politis is.
Not submit to threats.
Not Cerise, not Cdom, not Opsic. It's honestly like Politis is very, very flexible.
To support mode.
Now try me. Don't chicken out. I don't fight weaklings.
This situation is critical.
So he's drafting very counter Cleave in terms of like, you know, remaining stationary, allowing counters to go off. I'm thinking Pablo here already because Pablo could one-shot the ML Ken and not trigger any counterattack. The issue is that there's a carrot, there's a violet, and depending on what he drafted, my last pick would have been very important.
Fortune is on our side.
This one was kind of like, okay, alright, you really want to win this one. But no one wants to get cleaved. So I totally understood this. So I was looking at this, I'm like, okay, so I have one force ban option, right? Spectenny, obvious. You take out the AoE and you kind of just see if you can ride it out. And I was thinking, honestly, he would just ban the Spectenny. And I know as I'm talking here, I'm a bit like spoiling, but there's a lot I have to say that usually have to say it beforehand, otherwise I'll miss my point. So at this point, I'm still picking as well, but I definitely think that it was a risk either way. I think he saw that, you know, I may have banned. I don't know actually what he thought here, because I think he had the upper hand. If he had banned the Spectenny, I would have lost. I actually don't think how I could have won it.
I will not just stand by.
But he didn't. So the carrot was the right ban, because carrot would have book, and you know, the burn would be strong enough to kill my Spectenny. My Spectenny is not on lifesteal either. It's not on lifesteal. So
How naive.
looking back at this, I wasn't sure if that was the right play, but I guess it probably is. It's just to stall out the invincibility for a turn. But at the end of the day, you'll see how this goes. So the Violet hits pretty hard, but I mean my Obsig is Swish. So even if it's like a, even if it's not like a super high damage Violet, it was still good enough to kill this whole team. So that's why I was thinking like the C-Dom, if he had left the C-Dom in, there's no way I could finish off all his targets. He had a Ruel, he has invincibility, he could have killed him. So I would have lost if he banned the C-Dom. And he saw the opportunity here. He's just like, yeah, at this point I think he was like very confident that he would win. So I had to protect the Cerise. Because any turn now, like if my Cerise had died, my Spectani would be vulnerable. And this is also why I'm a bit hesitant on making my Spectani lifesteal at the moment, is because I have pretty good bulk, but I also have really good damage, and I can't get it to work in terms of having the bulk, the speed, and the damage I want on a lifesteal Spectani. In this fight, a lifesteal Spectani wouldn't have helped anyway, so I think I'm gonna keep her speed for a while. And like I already said, I'll be farming, hopefully, to get some speed DPS gear for this upcoming season.
The stars light our way.
I figured that he probably didn't want to protect the MO Ken, but he should have protected the Violet, to be honest. He does the S1 here, which I think is a false move. I think he's thinking like get the attack buff on MO Ken is more worth it, but honestly if he had protected the Violet, I would have lost 100%. So here I decided to hit him once because to start the damage, but because I had invincibility, definitely very important. The MO Ken had Sigurd already triggered, and he soul burn, guaranteed crit, and this is again what I said, like with the bulk I might need that on my Spectani. Spectani already generating stacks because she's killing. So here I was just looking at like the turn cycling here. If I kill the Violet, or if I hit the Violet, I'll most likely die. But I had to hit one of them at least from Spectani. Luckily this is, I think, is a base speed Violet, so the Cerise was pretty fast. I got lucky, so just saying, like Violet, a lot of people ask like what do you think about Violet? I think Violet's like very strong, but Violet cannot be like where Remnant Violet is, because since he has a lower dodge rate, he has to have like bulk, he has to have healers, kind of like Violet. Like you don't want to YOLO that, but I mean his draft honestly was correct. I think he banned the wrong target, but yeah. I got very lucky. I spent a couple of seconds there typing to the Iggy chat because they were laughing at that too. Obviously not laughing at that player here, they were laughing that I got so lucky, which I agree, but honestly that was the whole thing, right? It's just like, okay, you know, do I get the 50-50 or do I lose it? Either way, that's the risk of doing the cleave. Arguably speaking though, that didn't finish as fast as I wanted it to.
Don't chicken out.
I would say though, like unless you have really good a full deck of speed cleavers with really good flexibility, really good drafting mind, it's very hard to be a cleaver in the game. There's just so many ways. You see like how people are decking out different ways to deal with my cleave. Like Elena is very solid, just going high bulk, going evasion or outspeeding, you know, speed contest. Like there's basically, it's very tough for a cleaver to be a cleaver. Only a handful of players can really do it well in my opinion at the moment. So this one, I definitely misdrafted here. I looked at this, in terms of my top drafts, they was definitely wrong. My last pick here was probably the strongest. It was the right choice in my opinion, but I showed this before, like after actually, a couple of the guys who were viewing this left after. So I chose Ravi here. So to me, like my Ravi is pretty strong. Well, I'll talk about the Ravi in a bit. So anyways, the draft first, I looked at this and someone was asking, well, where's the strays, where's the LQC, and I'm like, but that's a good point, like I get so funneled into like having to pick these sort of like cleave synergy heroes that I forget to have those heroes built and pretty well. So in terms of like if I had like, I'm glad that he didn't see Ravi as a threat and he thought the Cedom was the threat, but that was the point. Like I think Basar didn't need to be picked. I could have picked Cedom, I could have picked LQC or Strays for the last couple, and it would have been a lot better. But this one, the idea behind it, at least that Dilibet was very lucky. Resisted both. It's like, I was surprised. I was like, resist Dilibet. So one of the things I was considering was like, I mean, his damage probably is good, but my Ravi is like very bulky, and I was just thinking, okay, he wants to play this way, let's go to a frenzy match, right? So that was my original intent. So the Basar, seeing the Elena and the Armin was honestly picked too quick. I definitely shouldn't have, I think, unless I had a better follow, but I already had picked Cerise and Politis, so I had like half committed, and then at the end really had no damage. If I went with, I think if he went with
Prepare yourselves.
well, I think he had a stronger draft. If he kept Green Violet and kept my Cedom
Are you doubting me?
and banned Ravi, I think he would have won. Because he has more sustain, he has more damage over time, and it was a Celestine Elena too. So I don't think I would have won. There was nothing I could have banned to actually have won it, but he actually allowed the Ravi in, which is good. It could be a reflex thing too. Like when you're seeing someone about to cleave you, you start thinking like their Cedom's like cracked or whatever. So that could be a pretty big reason. Here I was testing to see if I can actually get a stun. It resisted. I didn't know if it was high resist, so I didn't want to use the S3, of course. So any damage that Champion Zerato would do to me here, in terms of like a returning a debuff, would have been pretty bad. But again, like I said, like I wasn't too worried about the Ravi. It's just whether or not Ravi had enough in her to counter them. Another aspect to the Ravi is that what I was gonna mention is that she's not on a proper Sigurd scythe. I use ML Ken a lot more. I didn't use Ravi almost at all last season in World Arena. So for Skyward season, because she fell off, I ended up using Carrot more. Now people are saying like Fire Charlotte is much stronger than Ravi too. I don't have Fire Charlotte built yet, but I don't use Ravi a lot. So my point is that she was on a Sigurd scythe that was a plus 15, whereas I have another plus 27 one, but that's on ML Ken. So I use ML Ken a lot more. I use him in Guild War, I use him in like some arena when I see like a speed cleave arena team. I use ML Ken in those, so ML Ken on the stronger Sigurd scythe. So at this point it was looking pretty grim, right? But again, like I said, I have a lot of bulk, and Champion Zerato and Dilibet generally don't have high attack. I mean, Champion Zerato can be, but Dilibet definitely has a lower base attack. So Frenzy wouldn't have made Dilibet as strong, but it would definitely make Champion Zerato stronger. So that's something I had to keep in mind. I did the S3 there knowing fully well that Elena would heal, but I had to do it. I had attack down. I needed multiple targets to be able to heal as much as I can with Sigurd. But the counterattacks, I have to say the counterattacks with the Cleanse EE really came in handy here. Silence doesn't really matter from Dilibet. I think the biggest one, like biggest debuff here would have been Provoke, I suppose, and attack break, or attack down, and defense break. I think he kept on like soul burning to silence me too. But that's not like Ravi's like full kit. Like her soul burn, which I was lucky that I had the souls, was able to heal that too. So he was very unlucky. I have to say that my Ravi countered a lot, and that's what I was banking on. Which again, I'm very glad. So still, like, you know, when I reviewed my own account, I said that, you know, Ravi fell off, but doesn't mean that you don't build her. There is definitely because what she brings to the table, like the self-sustain, the high damage, especially if she's a frenzy gamer, definitely has a place in the game. That's the first thing I like look at. If people start drafting high bulk but low damage, I start thinking in terms of, okay, can they reach me? So in terms of spec 10, or can they do enough damage versus my lifesteal, or whatever lifesteal component. That's why Fire Charlotte is very, very good compared. Probably not in this fight because the debuffs that she does, that she can't control the debuffs. But Champion's Rock can't be stunned, so none of my debuffs from Ravi would have affected him. So he's definitely getting yeah, so this didn't matter either. I don't know what like he was doing for this. Like even if it did reset my skills, Ravi isn't skill dependent. Again, making Ravi very, very strong in this fight. You can see that's Frenzy 5 already, so the damage is definitely scaling up. I can see the Champion's Rod already like paying off on his account. And so again, with the attack down, defense break, I had to get the heal up, otherwise I'm not going to survive another hit. So I had to do this. Luckily, I did hit the Elena, which is what I needed to take out Armin. I think if I missed her, it would have left Armin with a bit of damage still, and stunned the Dilibet here, but I don't think it mattered, if I remember correctly. No, I got a CR boost, so yeah, so I lost my attack down and defense break on this turn. Very, very fortunate. So Elena actually became counterintuitive for him because Elena was forced to cleanse or forced to hit me on that turn. Otherwise, well, I guess if Dilibet wasn't stunned, she would have hit me and I would have died when I had the defense break. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't trying to emote him. I was actually trying to click the the clock. I wanted to see what turn was he on. Like, did Elena have the skill? And he was there. I had to hit the Lilibet because Champion's Rod has a defense buff. So again, focusing on, you know, how much health I can get back with Sigurd. Again, it was getting very, very scary. And now, because Champion's Rod didn't have defense buff, I went for him, and his damage was of course getting higher than Dilibet. So in terms of, like, you know, with luck on my counter, on my cleanse and stuff, it was definitely I still had to play it well, but each move had to, you know, I gave him a thumbs up. Not to be toxic, but honestly, I would have lost if it wasn't because of my RNG. So that was the intention. But yeah, some people do draft like that, so I prefer people cleaving me, to be honest. Instead, like, it's more, like I said, admirable than to do, like, you know, like Soul Weaver, like all these like bulk and then slow grind. I really don't like it because, like, it just feels like I waste a lot of time. So this is the last fight, at least for this video. So Korea gold player. Going with, I think, last season's meta, pre-ban Carrot, Landy. It's interesting that I haven't seen pre-ban Carrot when people are fighting me all throughout. This was like the first one. So out of all my matches, this is the first pre-ban Carrot I saw, which is quite interesting. He had first pick too, so technically he could have chosen Carrot. So this is, again, I think, a showcase of the Politis versatility. So Politis showcase. Opsig here is pretty good because Cerise with Opsig into Last Rider Crow, you almost don't even need C-Dom. But I still, of course, brought the C-Dom here. Nothing he has chosen so far would have dealt with what I have. The Elena was the closest thing here, and then the last thing he would have to have is like some sort of damage. The G-Purgus was also pretty good, but again, like I said, Politis is there. So Politis sort of soft counters Landy, made Chloe, Elena, General Purgus. So for 4 of his 5 heroes, Politis is very good against. This one I was deciding longer because I was deciding who I wanted to ban. So that's the reason why the stall here. I went with a Specteni, even though it was a risk. I chose wrong, but I basically needed more source of damage. I was considering Landy first, because like there's no way a Last Rider Crown General Purgus cleaves through my Spectenni, not until they get their CDs recycled. But I decided to just kill off the or take off the attack buffer. Luckily there's no speed contest here, but look at this interaction. There's a bit of RNG because both of us don't know how we are speed tuned, but check out this interaction. I think this is probably the highlight of the morning when I was hitting this. So that's a very fast Last Rider Crow. To give a like a speed estimate, that's about a 250 speed Last Rider Crow, because my OPSIC is about 250. So it wasn't far off. As you can see, the Sidon got 100% there, but Last Rider Crow barely moved in terms of like he wasn't even inched ahead. But here's the difference, right? Politis cuts the CR boost by half, and Politis's S2 gave Sidon an extra boost. I think I did hit the Elena there, so it ended up being an 80% CR boost where he had almost nothing back. Because I saw the speed of the Last Rider Crow, there's no way he has the defense or HP. Like the mix of ratio wouldn't have worked. So that was the easy one shot for the Sidon. My Sidon is on a defense pen set at the moment, although I'm looking for upgraded gear. But that was pretty much over. Politis with attack buff is very, very powerful. Her attack mods are very strong, and Landy is Earth, so elemental advantage for me. More damage, 10% more damage. Yeah, so that was pretty much it. But the you see the interaction there with Politis and Sidon, very fun. Anyways, for this video I'm gonna end here. Thank you guys for watching and listening to the commentary. Hopefully in the upcoming season I can play more Cleave and just more carefree. Otherwise I'll end this here. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.